I'm Gemma from Gemma & Company. I'm going to show you how I make my strawberry rhubarb custard crumble. Preheat your oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit, or that is 190 Celsius or gas mark 5. To begin with, measure 300 ml of heavy whipping cream and pour that into a medium small saucepan on a low heat. We're going to use a low heat so that it doesn't burn. Next, we're going to crack 2 of our eggs into a bowl, but then take the other 2 eggs and we're just going to use the yolk. So to do this, we're going to crack the egg, dividing the shells, and toss the yolk back and forth to separate the white out. Put the white into just another small little dish that you could put in the fridge and save those whites for later. You can use them in my blueberry pancake recipe. Once these eggs have then been divided, we are going to be adding our sugar. We are wanting around 40 grams of sugar, which is a scant quarter cup. That means it is just under a quarter cup. So add that into the eggs. Next, we're going to take our balloon whisk and we're just going to gently whisk the eggs and the sugar together. This takes around a minute to do. We're wanting the sugar to dissolve and the eggs to be nicely combined and creamy. Next, check on your cream. By this point, it should be nice and hot. You want it to be steaming and to be slightly foamy. Now we're going to add this cream to the eggs. To do this, you want to continually stir those eggs and in a steady, slow stream, pour in that whipping cream. We don't want the eggs to curdle and look like and go scrambled. So that's why we are wanting to continue to stir as we add them. Just take your time and gradually do this. Once this is done, we'll add the teaspoon of vanilla extract. I like to use real vanilla extract. I don't like the artificial stuff. Just gently mix that in. Now we're going to add this to the baking dish that we have greased. We grease it so that it's easier to clean at the end of the day. So we'll add that custard into that dish and we'll set that dish aside and move on to the fruit. Begin by chopping your rhubarb. We're wanting around 500 grams of rhubarb. That's roughly 4 cups. Now, whichever variety you use will depend on how many stalks you need. Mine are quite small because they're homegrown. I'm not sure of the variety, but I'd say probably around 8 stalks will do you. So add those into the bowl. If you are going to use frozen fruit, you do want to measure them out before you let them defrost because they will shrink. Next, with the strawberries, we're going to just roughly cut them into bite-sized pieces. They don't have to be all even. I tend to just half them, then half that again, and then cut that again into half. So we have some just chunky bite-sized pieces, nothing too small, not too big. And we'll want around 280 grams of strawberries. That's roughly 2 cups worth. And we will add those into the bowl with the rhubarb. Next, we're going to add in the sugar. We're wanting around a quarter cup, which is 50 grams, as well as a tablespoon of cornstarch and a good pinch of salt. What the salt does, it'll just bring out all the flavors of the fruit, I find. I think it does definitely need that. Then with a wooden spoon, we're going to mix them all together until the corn flour and the sugar have mixed in well. We don't want any lumps of corn flour or cornstarch, whatever you call it, in that mixture. This doesn't take too long, just a few good turns will make it do. Once this is all mixed together, we're just going to put that off to the side and then move on to the topping. So for the shortbread, there's 2 different methods to do. You can either do it by hand or with a stand mixer. So begin by adding 1 cup of flour, that's around 150 grams, along with half a cup of butter, that's again 150 grams. If you're going to do this by hand, this is where we're going to rub it in. So we'll rub the butter into the flour until you get some chunky looking breadcrumbs consistency. If you're using the stand mixer, or once you get to the breadcrumb stage, we're going to be adding 1/3 cup of sugar, which is 60 grams, and 3/4 cup of ground almonds. That's around 85 grams, with a good pinch of salt. If you're doing this by hand, you'll just continue to mix this in with your hands. If not, using the stand mixer. So for the stand mixer, you just add all the ingredients at once and put them into the stand mixer. If you are able to get hold of this almond extract, I highly recommend adding it in as well. It just really enhances the almond flavor that you just don't truly get with the ground almonds. The ground almonds are a lot milder. This just adds that almond flavor. If you're not a fan of almond flavor, then you can omit this. If you are, then you're going to want around 1/2 teaspoon to a full teaspoon. Next, we'll put it into the stand mixer to begin with, on a low speed, moving up to around a medium speed. And we're wanting to get this nice chunky texture. It's the stage just before it will form a dough as if you're making shortbread. So when you pinch it between your fingers, it will clump together. If you're going to do this by hand, you can actually just sit and squeeze some of those chunks to make it into this lumpy type texture. So now that we've got all the ingredients, we're going to put them all together. So take your custard that has now cooled, and we're going to spoon in and scoop into the fruit. Now the fruit will settle into the custard, obviously, because it is still liquid. This isn't a custard that sets up as it sits. It will once it bakes, but it will still be all loose. Just spread those so they're evenly spread. Next, what we will do, we'll take that topping and just with your hands scoop it over, sprinkle it through the top, just so that it's evenly covering the whole surface. Don't pack this down by any means. We're just going to lightly sprinkle it over the top, just like you would for any type of crumble. Once this is done, it's going to go in the preheated oven for around 35 minutes. And this is your final completed strawberry rhubarb custard shortbread crumble.